Welcome to the PrideSource podcast, where we dive deep into the stories shaping LGBTQ+ life, love, and culture. I'm Chris Azzopardi, and today we're serving up something special with Queer Eye's food and wellness expert, Antoni Porowski. He's opening up about how cooking, connection, and confidence all come together, from his kitchen to conversations about PrEP, pleasure, and the power of breaking sexual stigma. So grab a seat at the table, because Antoni Porowski is dishing it all right here on PrideSource.
Okay. Well, it's nice to see you again, Anthony. And
You
I,
too.
yeah, as somebody who's followed your career for a while and who's talked to you before, you have always been open about growth and self-discovery through Queer Eye, and it's inspiring to see you extending that openness to sexual health. Um,
Well, thank you for saying that. And I do think
yeah,
that you can't really have one without the other. I think wellness, self-care, taking care of ourselves, whatever we want to call it, it's very much an umbrella and it's a tree and it has a lot of branches. And
mm,
along with, mental health and, watching what we eat and sense of community, I think sexual health falls into that category. I think that they're all integrated and they all affect each other. So I think this is it's a wonderful opportunity, and I think one that not enough people talk about. So I
yeah.
think it's important.
Yeah, totally. Obviously, as a queer person myself, when you talk about it like that, like I would have loved to hear that 20 some years ago when it was so stigmatized. And we'll get a little bit into that, but it's interesting to think about PrEP because when I first started thinking about taking PrEP, my friends were telling me it's basically like an anxiety drug. And it has actually functioned in that way for me because it has made me
Mm.
feel more empowered in the ways that I didn't before sexually. So I want to ask you, how has taking PrEP empowered you in your own sexual life and given you maybe a newfound sense of confidence?
I really like what you just said about it being like sort of tied to anxiety or a lessening of, not in
Yeah.
literal terms, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
but
of course. Yeah.
I think what's interesting is I've had a lot of conversations because of this partnership with friends of mine. And it's interesting to see the groups that really talk about it versus the ones that don't. And there definitely is a correlation between not mostly this, I think, pertains mostly to my gay friends, which I'm speaking from my experience, but I think it applies to everybody truly. The ones who have open conversations with not only their friends, but their physicians and their families have a lot more information and are a lot less shy or reticent to talk about it. And I think there's something about normalizing it through that practice and through talking about it that sort of alleviates it. But well, what was in terms of your experience of lessening the anxiety? Where does that come from in terms of like knowledge
Oh,
is power or
yeah, knowledge is power and it's the science, trusting the science, but also
yeah.
I grew up, I'm in my early 40s, and so like I grew up during an era in which, yeah, like sex, like having sex as a gay man, equaled death in a lot of ways. Like the education
Hmm.
around HIV and AIDS, was very focused on you can't really enjoy yourself sexually without contracting HIV.
Right.
The drug for me has um, eliminate that. It was a big part of my 20s, really hyper focused OCD about if I have sex or do anything sexual, I will get something that will kill me. So this drug has made me feel a lot more confident that I can do those things, enjoy my sex life, and not worry so much.
That's great. I mean, I can definitely relate to that front, but it's also even more than that. I think for me, from my experience, it's really about information and coming from a family of physicians.
Mm,
Um, there are a lot of things that, as a family we struggled with, like just communication overall growing up. But in terms of sexual health, wellness, trusting science, all those kinds of conversations were really ingrained in me since I was very young. And whatever questions I had, I always was always encouraging my friends to reach out to my dad, who's a physician, who was really good with bedside manner. And when you have that information, when you start to learn about the statistics and everything, it gets a little less scary. And the second part of it is, I think it's important to, if you are sexually active, I think it's important to speak to a physician about your options because PrEP obviously helps prevent HIV to a really high point, but there are obviously so many other STIs and STDs that need to be considered as well. So I certainly don't want people thinking that this is like a one, hopefully this opens the doors to more conversations. And I think, the more you talk about it, it just breeds more curiosity and more opportunity for knowledge. Um, and again, it's sort of, yeah, like speaking to a physician, but also just like reaching out to your friends because you never know who needs to hear about it. Sometimes you bring it up in front of people and they get a little shy and you realize like, oh, you haven't had that experience of sort of like educating yourself. Or as we know, coming out in as it pertains to our community or our population, as I heard somebody recently quote,
Mm.
is a journey, and people do it at very different ages and stages of their life. And for some people, they're a lot younger, and for other people, it's more of a process and it takes longer, and other people realize or decide they want to later on. So never sort of judge or assume where somebody is at in terms of their experience and their knowledge and the information that they have. So that's why I do think it's really important to talk about.
Yeah, well said. In thinking about the stigma around gay sex in particular, as we were chatting about earlier in the conversation, I was wondering when we're talking about whether it's PrEP or open relationships, or even just honest conversations about sex, what's one thing in queer intimacy that you think still carries too much stigma?
Ooh, good question. I think not to answer your question with what you brought up, but I do think that it's sex in general.
Hmm.
I think there are a lot of assumptions that are made in general about our community, about how we're having a lot of sex or versus how we're actually not. And it all boils down to with your, I refer to it as my board of directors, where I have my friends, where we have these open conversations about. But I do think that the biggest stigma is, I mean, there are a lot of them. And if I had to kind of like narrow it down, I would think it would be to just in terms of never the stigma kind of lies in the assumption that I'll speak for myself, that I have historically made about what it's like to be in a gay relationship, about how much, what kind of sex people are having, when the more people you speak to, you realize that it exists on a really massive spectrum. And it's a lot more complex than we actually realize. And what works for somebody may not work for you. Open relationships, zero judgment, might work for somebody, might not work for the person next to them. And the more information that you gather, the more that you're able to choose your own adventure in a
Yeah.
responsible way. And again, I'll reiterate, I think part of this collaboration, what really drew me to it is the fact that it was an opportunity to advocate for leaning into modern medicine and for reaching out to your physician and speaking to somebody who knows. I have a lot of faults, but I'm good at asking for directions. I'm very quick to be like, hey, this is something I don't
Yeah.
know about. So many
Mm.
physicians in my family. I'm definitely not one. Terrified of needles, always
Yeah.
have been.
Same.
Do not like getting my blood drawn.
Same. I
I'm
pass
definitely like
out. Yeah.
definitely the black sheep in my family on that front. But that's why I have people who are really, really good at that and more knowledgeable and are able to sort of break it down in a more palatable way. And when I have the information, it's like I feel more equipped and I feel more confident. And to your point earlier, it lessens the anxiety when you know you have those options. And the more that you talk about it, it desensitizes any type of taboo or sensitivity, for lack of a better
I,
word,
I almost
or any preciousness that we have around it.
absolutely, yeah. I almost feel like as I got older, I realized that actually straight people are having a lot of the same kinds of sex that gay people have.
Yeah.
And if those two communities came together and straight people talked to gay people about, oh wow, we have anal sex too, straight people.
Imagine if we just communicated more, like that's what
Yeah.
it boils down to. And I think there are a lot of like misconceptions where it's like people who are, I know a lot of couples who are in monogamous gay and straight relationships who
Mhm.
take PrEP. They trust their partner. It's not a matter of that. It's just a matter of having that extra safety and that security and that confidence.
Well said. I want to connect your love for food to all of this in a way
Let's
that's
pivot.
hopefully not. I mean, it's not a hard pivot, but like we'll see. We'll see. Well, you tell me. But you have made food look downright seductive for over 10 years on Queer Eye. What's your ultimate sexy food fantasy?
Ooh. A sexy food fantasy.
The sexiest table you've ever looked at with, the appetizer, the
I
main
would
dish.
say I would say honestly what it is at my the stage of life that I'm in right now is very different than it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
For the first time I'm in a relationship where I can't even believe I'm saying it. We actually cook together. This is
That,
never, except one relationship a long, long time ago. But in this one, it's something that we sort of collaborate on together. And it's cooking for me at home has become less performative
yeah.
and it's become more of like a collaborative conversation where
Mm.
we will literally sit down and discuss like what is the meal going to look like? What's our fantasy? What do we want to kind of like play out? And doing it together, there's something really beautiful and there's an intimacy there that I working in food for so long that I kind of can't believe I've never really experienced, but it's sort of like, wow, like this is really hot and really amazing when you get to like do that together because it makes it less of a single man performance and makes it more of a dance, if you will.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah,
And do you want specifics? Like, do you want like the full menu?
sure, give me the full menu. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what were
Or
we?
actually,
Okay,
tell
so
me what your favorite meal to cook together.
well, last night, I'm kind of on one of my favorite things is ground beef. I'm just obsessed with ground meat. I didn't have a lot of it growing up, and it's so easy to prepare. And during the week when I'm really busy, especially when I'm in town, I want something that's nutritious and filling, but I want to keep it really nice and simple. And so I made this dressing that I have been obsessed with since I saw it on TikTok through Baked by Melissa. She makes those delicious little super moist,
Yes,
pardon
it
the
is
word, cupcakes. But she also
so
has an
good.
amazing TikTok where she cooks for kids and she chops the hell out of these salads. And she brought up this dressing that I've been having at Japanese restaurants forever, which is a shocking amount of fresh turmeric, ginger, carrots, dump them in a blender with some white miso, a lot of rice wine vinegar, sesame oil, a little bit of water, a lot of lime juice and lemon juice, and an offensive amount of cracked pepper and good honey. And you
Mm,
just blend it, and it's this beautiful, tangy, vibrant puree that we just like dip endive in or put over tuna salad or serve on with literally anything or toss it with any type of greens. And so I did grass-fed ground beef. I cooked some sushi rice that I folded in. I cooked the sushi rice in bone broth just to get it really sticky with all of that collagen.
yeah.
And then I seasoned it with like a little bit of oyster sauce, a little bit of fish sauce, again, a little bit of honey at the end so that it didn't burn. And we sat yesterday and it was like, it was surprisingly romantic, yet a dinner that came together in about 20 minutes. And we just stood at the
Oh,
counter eating like butter lettuce cups with this like meat
oh,
rice mixture. And I had herbs on the side of like Thai basil and some nice spearmint and cilantro, if you're into
yeah.
that, and some
I
chopped
yeah.
scallion, and then just drizzle some sriracha. And it was just food falling off the sides of our mouth. I think that's
I
pretty
mean,
sexy, but that's what works in my household.
I mean, so like, you know what? The vision of that is sexy, but there's something, Anthony, and I'm sure that people tell you this, but the way that you talk about food is erotic. It is the
I
language that you use, it is the way that you talk about it, but you love it. So I guess that's why.
love it.
Yeah.
I can talk about I can be having a meal and talking about what the next one is going to be like. And
Mm.
I've been like that through and through my entire life. And that's a product of my upbringing.
Yeah, that's
For
beautiful.
all of our differences in my family, we were always deeply obsessed
Yeah.
with food, whether it's going to a restaurant and having something and figuring out how to make it better faster. Was
Mm.
the fish right? Was it cut too thin or thick? And then my mother would go and recreate it. And that's just been kind of part of our narrative growing up.
That's
And it's
so
something that I continue to do today. And I love to do it with friends because there's nothing more exciting than leaning into my type A control freak and having friends over for like a communal dinner and being like, no, this is going to be the perfect bite. You take a little bit of this and then you add that, then you add a little bit of the herbs on top. You need a little bit of mint because that's the herb that's really going to make it next level.
yeah.
And it's like recreating that, like creating that for them and having them experience it for the first time is like so,
You
it's
love
such a
watching
joyous
you
thing.
love watching them. Yeah.
I love watching it.
I get
Yeah.
it. I get it. I have a friend like that. I your partner, boyfriend is Zachariah, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I know this because I'm in Michigan. And so I
Oh,
live between Detroit and Ann Arbor,
okay.
of Traverse City.
Ann Arbor is beautiful, and Traverse City is incredible. Apparently, it's going
Stunning.
to be declared a blue zone next year.
I know. I heard that. I'm excited. Michigan's a great place to be, especially given the state of our country. We love our
Yep.
governor. But I just wanted to ask you, without prying too much, how has your new
Yeah.
romantic connection to Michigan influenced your sense of home, balance, or even creativity?
Well, it certainly helps that he was basically raised learning how to hunt for animals and getting cherries at peak season
Uh,
and all of the wonderful stone fruit and tapping his family's maple trees and processing it. And it's like he understands food. And so that's like a level of connection, like the respect for food, and especially in those parts of Michigan. I mean, it's you have people who have farm stands in front of their house where people just leave money and pick up farm eggs or whatever fresh fruit they have. It's very community driven, which I think at this stage in my life, since I turned 40, I've had this, it wasn't really planned, but I find myself, and I think especially to your point with the state of the world and with everything that's going on and all the things to be afraid of, I've been leaning into things that bring me comfort, and that's always been community. And sometimes it's with my biological family, sometimes it's with my logical family, my chosen family. Now it's with my partner and his, who I had a chance to spend time with, which was amazing. And so food is sort of, I mean, it's always been that connective, that connective fiber for me. It's always been the easiest way for me to connect with other people. And I think especially now, I'm looking for ways to connect with people, and
I feel that.
whether it's an opportunity like this with Gilead, or whether it's having my buddies over for like a nice communal dinner after like a yoga class in the afternoon, or even just going out with friends. I think it's something that's been really important to me, that's helped me fall asleep a little better at night.
Beautiful. It looked like you were enjoying a really good sandwich in one Instagram post when you were in TC. Uh,
So that was from Vander Farms. I don't think she makes the sandwiches, but it's Zach's sister, and she has a sourdough bakery, and you
oh,
can literally go to her kiosk and pick up sourdough scones with maple glaze from their own maple trees. It's
amazing.
crazy.
I will stop there next time I'm in town. That's
It's
amazing.
so good. Send her a DM before, make sure she has all the stuff that you want. There's
Okay.
also like what do Americans call it's like two oatmeal cookies with frosting in the middle.
Oh, I've only seen them, but there's an official
It's
name.
like a cookie sandwich thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Incredible.
Yum.
Incredible.
Um, I I'm about at 20 minutes, so I will wrap.
Okay.
I'm keeping an eye on the time so that you can have.
No, you're good. You're good. You're
Okay,
good.
okay, cool. Well, I wanted to ask you about Queer Eye because you shot this last
Mhm.
season in DC. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but what an interesting place to be, knowing what you do, what you all do, and knowing what the state of the country is and how that has been sort of the epicenter of where everything's bad has kind of disseminated. So
Right.
for
I'm
you and the
I,
Queer Eye, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, sorry. I was gonna let you finish your question.
Oh, okay, thanks. I was just going to ask you, how did it feel to bring joy and connection to people? Speaking of connection to people in DC, this season, knowing that the city sits at the center of so many political and cultural tensions right now.
The epicenter of it, if you will.
Yeah,
I mean, we certainly didn't plan that the person who was in office was going to be in off our first season,
yeah,
was going to be in office for our 10th. That was definitely
right,
unexpected, I
right.
think, to a lot of people. In terms of planning to film in DC, that we have no say in. I'm going to make an assumption that that was some would that there was an intention there. It would be a really strange coincidence if it weren't. But I think being in DC, and I've been there visiting during various different political administrations, and it is surprising to see how the energy of that city sort of, is it a city? It's a district. The district of
Yeah.
the District of Columbia sort of like shifts based on who's there. And so I think it definitely brings a little bit of tension. But with that tension, I think it's opportunity. And not to bring us full circle, but again, it's like an opportunity to have conversations and to understand where people are at. Because while I am really afraid and I'm terrified of so much that's happening to so many people, um, at the same time, I still maintain, a sense of hope and optimism for the future. I think, to quote David Attenborough, maybe not as intention for this specifically, but maybe it was like we always have to have hope no matter what.
Hmm.
And it was, it was definitely very emotional. I mean, the 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 season was sort of like compressed and stressful to sort of get it all done. You're dealing with the area of Virginia, Maryland, and DC, and with different laws and where to film, and so that made it a little more challenging for our producers. But within those, there would be just random moments where I think it would sort of catch up with everybody, where it was like, oh, this is the last one. Like, oh, this is going to be my last field trip. This is the last time I get to like cook with someone. And that would just kind of hit us all over the place. And so emotions were zigzagging from joy and excitement to meeting new people and having them have epiphanies about their own lives or realizations or moments of acceptance or really embracing who they are to all of the other stuff in between. So it was just this amalgamation of like every emotion possible. And by the time it all ended, I can't disclose obviously too much about the episodes, but the last scene was just, it was set up in a way where it was really celebratory, and we were celebrating the hero or heroes in question. And there was this moment of joy and accomplishment, but also like a profound sadness to think, oh, we're not going to be doing this for now, right? Never say never to anything. Who knows what's going to
Right.
happen in a little bit?
Yeah.
But it was there's going to be no shortage. I say it all the time, but it's like it really is true. There's no shortage of emotions. I mean, we have Jeremiah on board, so there's plenty more tears added just because of that alone. But everybody cried at some point or another,
Of
whether it
course.
makes it to the final cut. It's like this show has changed our lives, and allowed us to have so many opportunities beyond our wildest dreams. I never speak for the group, but I think I can say that confidently. And it's something I think that we're really proud of and that we're really excited to share with everybody whenever it comes out. Strong assumption 2026, but that's all I got. Truly. Like we
Okay. All
don't we
right.
don't know.
Well, you know what? I think we need it whenever, but as long as it comes between like now and 2028.
Yeah. Oh no, no,
I
no,
always
no, no.
I always feel like the show is exactly the antidote to like the moment. And it
Mm,
feels like this is sort of what we need right now. Thanks,
yeah.
thanks Anthony for being such an ambassador for not just sexual health, but also for like joy and connection. I think your work has been incredibly meaningful to me and to so many people who are my friends who say, "Oh, I'm so grateful for the work that people on Queer Eye have done over the last many years." Um,
It takes a village, and
yeah,
I'm grateful to every single one of them, truly. So
yeah,
thank you for saying that,
yeah.
Chris.
Of course, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Come back to Michigan soon. Have more sandwiches.
Oh, I'll be back. We'll be back.